Good afternoon, everyone. Colleagues, welcome to the 12th SU Library Research Week. My name is Sivwe Bangani, and I'm the Director of Research Services here at Stellenbosch University Library. It's my pleasure to guide you through today's event, where we have a lineup of esteemed speakers. First up, we'll hear from Ms. Tice, who will extend the official welcome for this 12th Annual Library Research Week. Ms. Tice will also officially launch both the Library Research Week 2024 and our Institutional Data Management Plan, SAN-DMP. I don't see her here yet, but I'm sure she will come as we are speaking. Following her, we'll have Mr. Xabiso Xesi, who will provide an overview of the platform. And then our DVC, Research, Innovation, and Postgraduate Studies, Professor Sibusiso Moyo, will speak to the topic of the Library Research Week 2024. And in line with today's theme of Let's Achieve Research Excellence, Professor Sibusiso Moyo will speak to the topic of research excellence and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and give contextual snippets there. Then after that, for our in-person guests, there will be a reception in the library staff room. So now we are just waiting for Ms. Tice to come and just do the welcome before we proceed with our program. We'll just wait maybe for 1 minute or so. Maybe before she comes, I'll just quickly read the biography of Prof. Moyo, so that by the time she speaks, we've already read her biography. She doesn't want her biography to be read. Is that so, Prof? Yeah, but there are also people that are online that may not know you. Professor Moyo holds a PhD in mathematics from the University of Natal in Durban, and a master's which she completed with distinction in tertiary education management from the L.H. Martin Institute, University of Melbourne, Australia. As a scholar, she has published widely in mathematical sciences with a focus on different equations and optimization problems in international peer review journals. She has also successfully supervised postgraduate students and continues mentoring and supervising at master's and doctoral level. She served in various capacities and levels at the Durban University of Technology as Associate Director and Professor in the Department of Mathematics, Statistics and Physics, and Director, Research and Postgraduate Support up to mid-2017. She is currently an Associate Editor for the Journal of Higher Education Policy and Management, published by Taylor and Francis, and has served as guest editor of the Mathematical Methods in the Applied Sciences Journal and Journal of Engineering Mathematics. She's also a board member for Agenda Feminist Media, and when she was at DUT, she was responsible for research, innovation, and engagement agenda. And her current position here, she's the director, she's Deputy Vice Chancellor, Research, Innovation, and Postgraduate Studies. So first up, I'll ask Ms. Tice to just come and do the official welcome, as well as launch the Library Research Week, which we are launching together with the Data Management Plan tool of the university. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon, colleagues, ladies, gentlemen, students, researchers here at Stellenbosch University, and also those of you who are joining us from other institutions in the country. I extend a warm welcome to you It's a bit odd. Most of you are sitting here, now I'm looking here. So I'm going to try and see if I do it here in the middle. As you have heard the introduction of the Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Research, Innovation and Postgraduate Studies, under which portfolio the Library and Information Service fall. I'm therefore very pleased to welcome her here this afternoon, and she will be unusual or very different from previous years where she usually opens Research Week. This year, she is going to be our main speaker and our guest speaker, and we're really very excited. This is already her third year that she has been here with us, so she had now graduated to be a guest speaker at the Library Research Week. Particularly thanking her for agreeing to tackle a very weighty topic this afternoon, which she will present later, and she was asked to do this at a very short space of time. Again, great pleasure to welcome you to the 12th Stellenbosch University Library Research Week. As we often indicate, this week is meant to be a flagship event where we cater for researchers, academics, and postgraduate students' research needs. It is a week where we demonstrate the value and power of collaborations and partnerships as we invite speakers from different academic support units and faculties to share their knowledge, enhance research skills, and foster development. I always say that this is one of many ways that the library contributes to the university's overarching theme of research for impact. This year's theme is Let's Achieve Research Excellence. Most of you would know that the university is guided by, Stellenbosch University is guided by 6 values that are abbreviated as ICARE 2. Inclusivity, compassion, accountability, respect, excellence, and equity. As you can see, this year's themes aligns very well with the value of excellence, which has generated some discussions internally. We decided to move beyond the controversies to say, yes, indeed, let's achieve research excellence. This is a theme that centers around fostering a culture of high-quality research and innovation. It emphasizes the importance of striving for excellence in all aspects of the research process, from conception, execution, and to the dissemination of findings through to demonstrating impact. It encourages researchers to aim for the highest standards of integrity and innovativeness in their work. It is a call for researchers to transcend boundaries set by disciplines and geographical location to explore new frontiers of knowledge and come up with groundbreaking solutions. As we can see nearly every week on the university website, we learn and we read about awards that's been given to Stellenbosch University, and after the recent graduation ceremony in March, when we also read about the groundbreaking research that is being done here at Stellenbosch University. It is therefore a theme that calls on not just those established and experienced researchers, but also emerging researchers to not just emulate, but also exceed the achievements of their predecessors. At the same time, it calls upon us to remain grounded within the communities. Our research should not only impact ourselves, but also the communities. This is why we decided on the topic that links also research and the Sustainable Development Goals that will be covered by Professor Moyo today. As the library, we continue to support initiatives that will ensure maximum benefit for the communities from the university's research. These include our open access initiatives, such as through research and publish or transformational agreements that will be discussed on Friday as part of Library Research Week. Institutional repositories, our institutional repositories such as Sun Scholar Data, Sun Digital Collections, and also Sun Journals. Speaking of Sun Scholar Data, that brings me to the second part of my address this afternoon. I am delighted that we are launching today not only Library Research Week 2024, but also our data management platform, planned platform called Sun DMP. And that is powered by Fair Wizard, the software that we use for this specific tool. We gave our DMP platform the same name, the name Sun DMP, to reflect its functionality and intrinsic connection to our institution's digital identity, the Sun. In addition, by incorporating Sun, which is a commonly acronym for Stellenbosch University's, our digital identity, especially for the websites, Sun Learn, Sun Student, Sun Fin. We enhance its visibility and recognition within our academic community and beyond. As already shown, we have Sun in our institutional repositories as well. And in fact, I want to make this point, we were the first one to use this acronym when we launched Sun Scholar 2008. So, today we are launching Sun DMP, 6 years after we first launched our now quality certified, internationally quality certified institutional data repository, Sun Scholar Data, in 2019. It is only the second institution university data repository that has been certified as a quality data repository at the end of last year. Today's launch of the DMP tool is a culmination of years of work. As the library, we have always been alert to the requirements of our university's research data management regulations to provide tools for data management plans. Therefore, at the beginning of 2021, we initiated a process towards implementing a Stellenbosch University data management tool because it became more and more a requirement for researchers when they apply for grants, etc., that they have to make use of an institutional DMP tool. The aim was to install and test Data Stewardship Wizard, that is the software solution. It was an open source system to assess whether it would be a suitable DMP system for Stellenbosch University. At that time, we would not have imagined that it would take another 3 years before we could implement a Stellenbosch University DMP. We thought that once thoroughly tested with researchers and other research support divisions, we would simply recommend the system for adoption. And as we know, that's not the way it works. And subsequent installation then by the Stellenbosch University Information Technology Division as part of the broader ICT for research. However, upon engaging the IT division, we were advised that they would set up a stakeholder group involving the library, IT, information governance, and the Division for Research Development. If I recall correctly, there were also representatives from the research community, from the researchers. This stakeholder group was then set up in terms of the IT division's procedure for procuring software systems. The stakeholder group then had to do first their own evaluation and recommend the best system to implement as our DMP. Based on that process, the decision was taken to go with the data steward, what is the other part of it that I've just mentioned here, but the DMP, the system that we're currently using. However, due to capacity challenges, a commercial cloud version of the solution was preferred. The cost associated with it, because once it was decided and we would go for this, the stakeholder group then asked, okay, so the library initiated this, where's the money? You must now pay for the system. But this cloud storage option proved to be prohibitive for the library. The stakeholders group then opted to apply for strategic funding. However, this was deemed not feasible, and it looked like the project would have had to be held in abeyance until such time that funding was sourced or be allowed to die a natural death. I must say that as a library, we were still in full support of the open source software provided that we received, that IT had basically approved. When I presented this to the University Senate Research Committee and pointed out that we were unable to proceed with the proprietary solution due to lack of funding for the project, the DVC, fortunately, Professor Moyo was appointed in 2022. She then immediately undertook to source funds for the project. She said, this has to be done. We have to do this. And it is through that assistance that we are where we are today. So at this stage, I'd like to thank, on behalf of our students and researchers, postgraduate students, the researchers, and everybody else who have been involved and know what this would mean for the institution, to thank Professor Moyo for his support. I do hope that we will also find a way to ensure that the project is sustainable going forward. So thank you all for attending and joining us here this afternoon for Library Research Week launch and the DMP launch. And I also invite you to attend all the other interesting sessions during this week that will be presented. And most importantly, for researchers and students to make use of this new tool that we are providing to Stellenbosch University, to Stellenbosch University staff and students, so that we can all reach the excellence that we want to be known for in the country and in the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Tice. I still can't get around the fact that you whispered when you said Fin. I just wonder what's going on there. But colleagues, now we will move on. Ms. Tice said that we are launching Sun DMP, which is our data management platform that is powered by Fair Wizard. So we thought that it would be a good idea to have the person who is actually doing the actual work, the spade work when it comes to this tool, to come and just briefly show us a brief overview of this tool. And I do know that his name is a bit difficult. That's why they always ask me to stand here when I have to introduce him. So Xabiso Xesi, he's the manager, research data management.
Okay, afternoon everyone. I would like to say it's an honor to be talking about research data management practices, and also talking about today, introducing the tool that enhances researchers' practice, actually good research practices. Today, I would like to give you just an overview of what Sun DMP is. And the first thing that you are going to ask yourself, we are introducing Sun DMP, and what is the reason for researchers to be constantly reminded that they need to manage their research data? In honesty, there are so many reasons why researchers, they need to manage their research data. I've highlighted only 5 for the sake of time. When we talk about research data management, we always talk about research reproducibility. We believe, and also studies show, if data is not managed properly, it is impossible for other researchers to reproduce or maybe redo the research because the data was not managed properly. And when we talk about the research reproducibility, we believe that if ever our researchers can manage their data, that can enhance the credibility and reliability of research workflows. And also by automating tasks such as data entry, cleaning, and analysis. And our second point that we've highlighted was efficiency. Studies show that efficient data management enables or streamlines the research workflows, and it also saves researchers time and resources by allowing them to focus more on data interpretation and generation, and also generating new knowledge. If ever research data is managed properly, that can open a door for collaboration. Where collaboration is involved in research, such tools can be implemented by researchers. Tools like your repository, and it would be a shame for me to talk about collaboration without mentioning one of the tools that the library has, which is called SoundScholar. But today, that is not the point. We also talk about publication and citation. If ever we talk about that, many researchers, they start to listen. We believe that if ever your data is managed properly, and also studies believe that it can make it easier for your work to be cited, and also data that is presented in a manner that any other researcher can be able to understand the data can be easily cited by other people, and also that increases the visibility of your work as a researcher. The last one is long-term preservation. When we talk about the preservation, it tends to be unfamiliar territory to new researchers, but by creating SunDMP, we believe that we have managed to give our researchers an understanding of what preservation entails and what sort of tools do the university offer. With SunDMP, our researchers can have such at their disposal. Now you ask yourself, what is SunDMP? Basically, SunDMP in a nutshell, it is just a data management plan tool where our researchers, they can develop their own data management plan. We talk about the data management plan, I believe in the research life cycle is the first item that researchers talk about. That is where our researchers, they need to familiarize or think about what sort of data they're going to use for their research. And when we talk about this SunDMP, it allows our researchers to articulate and also plan how are they going to handle or manage their data. We go to the benefits of having a data management plan. As we know, if ever you are applying for funding, it always requested that to submit your DMP along with your application. In some instances, if ever you are applying for ethics, a DMP plan is always required. So those are the two benefits that we have highlighted today. The features are what makes this platform different from other platforms. We decided to take 4 features that our researchers can take home today. Basically, it allows, we already have a dedicated form that we have developed in collaboration with other stakeholders in the university, whereby it will allow our researchers to mention a few, to outline what sort of metadata standards are they going to employ in their research, and also what sort of tools are they going to implement in ensuring that their data sets will be accessible, and where are they going to be accessible. This platform will give our researchers that platform where they can outline all those. And also when it comes to FAIR, when we talk about FAIR, it goes hand in hand with open access. we always advocate for open access as librarians, and we believe in order for us to have open access, your data sets, they need to comply with the FAIR principles. The FAIR principles is to ensure that your data is managed correctly so that when you want to make your data to be findable, it can be easily be findable by ensuring that your metadata is documented properly. We talk about accessibility. Where are you going to access these data sets? Such things you are going to be able to outline them on your DMP, because this form has been set up in such a way that it will ensure that it answers all the FAIR points, interoperability and also reusability, whereby we always advise researchers when they are sharing their data sets, for an example, in Sun Scholar data, that they also submit their README file that can describe the sort of data that they are sharing with the world. And also, once you have created your form or developed your form on SunDMP, it will allow you to easily generate in different formats. It can be Word, it can be a PDF, it can also be JSON file, depending on what you're good at and what you prefer. And also, once you have created your DMP, you can always go back to it. As I've said on my previous slide, I talked about what this SunDMP can do. I've already explained that it can outline how are you going to be managing all your data sets. As you can see on this slide, there is a FAIR principle. I'm just gonna go to the next one. Now, before anyone can go home, they can understand where are they going to access this DMP. I've set up 7 points on how you can access your DMP. You can simply just go to the library website. Once you're on the library website, you simply, okay, it's not sharing this one, sorry. Okay, you simply go to the library website. Once you're on the library website, you simply go to research. Under research, you are going to see a data management plan tool. You simply click on it. Under research, a data management plan tool, you simply go to DMP software. This is where you're going to find SunDMP tool. Once you click on it, you are going to be presented with this screen where it asks you to put your SU, official email address, and also the password. I'll just quickly do that so that you can see the different chapters that you'll be presented with when you are developing your DMP. Okay, once you've captured your SU official email address and also your SU password, the system is going to provide you with an authentication code that will be sent on your official, yes ma'am. Oh yes, I was waiting for the code to be sent on my email. Yes. Okay, we're in now. As you can see, the system, you've managed to put in your SU credentials and also with your SU password. Now the system will welcome you there. And then the first thing that you need to do, as you can see, I've worked on the platform already, so I have recent projects. But in your case, it's going to be your first time. You will simply have to go to create new project. Once you click there, we always advise the title of your DMP, it needs to be the title of your project. For the sake of this exercise, I'll just write DMP. And then you can select our official SU template, and then you click on create. As you can see, I've mentioned that basically what you'll be doing, you will be asked questions and then you'll be answering those questions that are applicable to your research. we've actually broke it down to different sections, whereby you'll be presented with the researcher information, research project details. That's where you'll be outlining such questions. And also data description, what kind of data you will be collecting and how are you going to be handling that data. Documentation, storage, legal, data sharing, data management responsibility. Those will be the chapters or sections that you will need to answer in order for you to have a successful DMP. One of the things that are good to know things, you can write to do, you can actually select to do, and then you can just make a comment if ever there is some outstanding information that you need to go and find. So basically, that is what we are launching today, Sun DMP. We have already done the form. Now the researchers can go and complete that form in order to ensure that they have developed a successful data management plan. For upcoming events regarding Sun DMP, we've come up with a concept that is Sun DMP Wednesday, where our researchers can go and register for the training, and we will be there to assist them. Kabiso, who's going to be assisting, and also Caesar, my colleague. Those who are the people that can be contacted for the training. And also we are going to be marketing the training on LibCal, where people or researchers can go and register on it. Thank you very much, colleagues.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kabiso Klesi. I must say that after Prof has spoken, I will just open the floor for some questions. So if you have any questions about what Kabiso has just presented, then please, you will be allowed to ask questions then. Prof Moyo, we are not only a busy library. I can proclaim that excellence is indeed ingrained in all what we do. It permeates everything we do here in the library. Just this afternoon, we were launching an exhibition to celebrate 30 years of democracy in South Africa. And during his remarks, Professor Koopman stated that a university can only be good if we reach out to the vulnerable and impact their lives. So I thought the remarks link very well with your talk today, which is on research excellence and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, the contextual snippets. So yeah, thank you so much. Over to you.
So good afternoon, everyone. Okay, so yeah, I thought maybe, I don't know if you want people to ask questions before they forget, because I've got a feeling after my talk, people might not remember. Is there anybody who has a question for Kabiso while he's still, while your memory is still fresh? Did you want to ask him anything? No? It was very well understood. I have a question. Yes, you have a question? Yes. Okay, so can you ask? Yeah, there's a microphone next to you so that the speakers can hear. Thank you.
So Kabiso, maybe you can just explain, because once you have completed the information on the template, what happens, and maybe even, you know, it'd be good if you can show an example of how such a DMP plan looks, because it seems to be, you know, once you fill in the information, but surely that's not the plan. So what happens thereafter?
Okay. Once you have completed the DMP plan, you can, I think on my slide, I did mention that you can save it in different file formats, whereby it could be a Word document, it could be a PDF document, and also a JSON file. So you can also share it with maybe your supervisor or other people that are part of the research project. So those are different formats that you can have your DMP when it's done.
You complete the data, and then the system generates the plan.
Yes,
that
it
you
does.
can then output in different formats and share as you wish.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, X. I wanted to check with you. You mentioned something like the DMP it's also for the funding purposes. Those questions that are generated or those questions that are in that DMP, are they how are they related to the different funding purposes? For example, the NRFs and all that. How did you come up with those questions?
Okay, yes. The questions when we're developing our SU dedicated form or template, we've consulted with different file formats and also saw the best practices when it comes to developing a comprehensive DMP plan. So most of the questions that you find on the NRF, those you will also find it on our SU. We've tried to accommodate different funders.
Can I ask a question? Yes. Okay. So it's just one question, and then so if you thank you for the presentation again. So I just wanted to know about the storage. So where do these plans eventually end up? Are we storing them on a cloud solution? What's the storage plan? Thank you.
It's a cloud. It is a cloud-based storage. Basically, it is a cloud-based storage, and SU supports it. Yes.
All right. Any more questions? If not, then I again thank you very much, and thank you, Program Director, for allowing me to take over your role, Sibiwe. Thank you. You're always very kind. So I want to acknowledge the Senior Director of the library, Ms. Ellen Ties, the library directors and senior staff who are present, and of course our researchers who have joined us today, and students, both present and online. So today's theme, of course, is Let's Achieve Research Excellence. As we embark on this week, I just want to really congratulate and thank the library for creating this space where we can reaffirm our commitment to the pursuit of knowledge, innovation, and scholarly excellence. So together, of course, let's harness the power of collaboration, curiosity, and dedication to elevate our research endeavors to new heights. And let this week, of course, serve as a beacon of inspiration and a catalyst for achieving research excellence in all our academic pursuits. So I thought that the previous talk touched a bit on research excellence, so I'll not spend time defining what it is, but I think I'll just go through a couple of elements which are important. The issue around what do we mean by research excellence, for whom and for what purpose. I have a short presentation, so maybe let me start that. And don't get scared of the slides. I've got 55 slides, but they're not for the presentation, because otherwise we'll be here until tomorrow. But I've got some pictures to show you. Sorry, I just need a bit of help. So while he's doing that, let's talk about research excellence in general. So the issue around rigor is important, originality, relevance, impact, and as well as ethics. And we know that from the SUN, of course, not SUN student or SUNFIN or SUN anything, SUN DMP, we know that we can, for us to really ensure that the data that we produce can be reused to produce quality research, it's important for us to make sure that we have the resources that we need to remain excellent. So I wanted to start off by just a short presentation. I was asked to speak about research excellence and the United Nations Sustainable Goals. I've made some assumptions that we all know how many goals there are, right? How many sustainable development goals do we have? 17. And I'll use the 17th one and maybe the 4th sustainable goal, quality education, because I believe that everything we do actually starts from somewhere, and it's important for us to ensure that we have quality education in order to ensure that we train skilled people who can also contribute to knowledge generation. Okay, we are still in the third industrial revolution. Sorry. I should ask the library to upgrade the facilities. So, okay, so at this stage, sorry for the people online, in case you were wondering, I was looking for a mouse. So, so the context setting, asking ourselves, why research excellence? Why do we worry about it? So the question is why and for whom? So I took just one SDG on quality education, and if you go to any of these SDGs, they will tell you they've got targets and goals and a description of what is being aimed. But there are other SDGs which are linked to the work that universities do. So I wanted to maybe just say that at this point as a context, that the realization of the full African potential remains a challenge, with poverty, inequality, and in our context, unemployment, health, food insecurity, water, energy, corruption, governance failures, genocide, wars, phobias, and all sorts of things that are happening. And these have been happening for many decades. And so if you look at where we are right now, is everything okay in that corner? Yeah, good, okay. So it's like a classroom, yeah. Badly behaving students in the corner, thank you. So so we always, if you look at this context, it means that as universities, we have a big role to play, not just to generate knowledge for the sake of generating it, but to generate knowledge so that we're able to deal with some of the socio-economic issues, some of the challenges that we have. Currently, I know there are elections coming up, so I hope that you've all registered to vote. That's one part. But the other part is that that we have quite a lot happening around some of the, the killings that are happening in many places, not just in Gaza and Israel, but other areas as well, where people are dying and many women and children also get affected. So what can universities do? So you'll see that here, so I thought that I should just start by telling you a little bit what we do as a university. So we have the Research, Innovation, and Postgraduate Support Portfolio, and under that, of course, is the library, and the director of the library did allude to that. But what is important there, amongst the many things that we do, of course, around human capacity development, because to do research, you need people. There are many areas where we also look at, resourcing, not just in terms of grants, funding, but also making sure we have the state-of-the-art equipment to do what we are doing. And as part of that, supporting research translation and knowledge transfer is a key component of the work that we do. And so when we talk about research excellence, for us, it's really finding what is the potential impact of that research, what is the benefit for society, how does it contribute to improving lives and livelihoods, and our economy in general. So when we talk about economy and impact, by the way, just remember, so yes, economy just means that you do have enough innovation and activities going on so that people add value to what they do and also feel that they are also adding value to society. And then also the other part is that when I talk about impact, it's also about storytelling, some of the work that we are doing and so forth. So the role of libraries become very important. And I know that the library, the one is our makerspace. Is Norman here today? I didn't see him. Oh yeah, so Norman has a lot of work to do because, and the team, there is a lot of work to do around trying to make sure that the library is not just a space where people come to read books, but to make sure that we also develop state-of-the-art data visualization tools and platforms where people can interact. So the makerspace plays a big role as well. And then if you ask at national level, so instead of talking about the SDGs as 17 different things that we have to look at, there is, fortunately for research and innovation, in the South African context, we are guided by the South African National Development Plan, the South African Decadal Plan, which is an implementation tool of the White Paper of Science and Technology, which was approved in 2019. In this Decadal Plan, you'll find there's alignment with the SDGs, which are 17 SDGs. There's also alignment with the Africa Union Agenda 2063. It's also aligned to our National Development Plan 2030, and then it highlights what are the priority areas. So I just flagged this for information because that's what we use to develop the research and innovation strategy. We are reviewing that so that we can also be up to date. So you can see this one runs from 2022 to 2032. And and you see there, so in the plan itself, again, I'm not going into the actual details, is that you find that there are focus areas. There are 4 focus areas that are given, and you can see there's a circular economy and climate change, which is a critical issue. And you'll see that if you look at your SDGs, you can see where this matches as well. There's education for the future and the future of society, which is also important. There's health innovation, an area where Stellenbosch University, we contribute very largely to as well. And then there's the high-tech and industrial part, which is, so those 4 focus areas have also got what they call the indicators, which you see in the horizontal line as well. So each one of them, you can see how they each affect each other. So I'll flag this just for information so that you can see what it's about. And then I think what's important, again, because we're talking about the context, is the African context and contribution to academic research. Because when we talk about research excellence, is what knowledge are we producing? Who's the user of that knowledge? So thank you again to the Elsevier and for this information here, which compares the African context to other contexts. So in South Africa, you find South Africa and Egypt are the most prolific contributors, which is followed also by Nigeria in the 3rd place. And then in the past 15 years, I think up to 2022, you see South Africa academic publications increased from 13,000 articles to about 35,000 by 2022. This was also stimulated by many things at policy level. In the South African system, there was also the introduction of the incentive for research, which is given to universities to use to support research. And then you find also the citations also in that period also increased. So I think what's important here is that if you look at the disciplines where we are contributing, nationally you see there's medicine, astronomy, and in fact we are in the process now of establishing a chair for computational astronomy, which we believe will be strategic for us. You see that as a university, we also contribute largely to these areas. So internationalization and global engagements, programs which take place, I think if you look up, talk about the Square Kilometer Array project, so we are, through our physics department and engineering, we are making sure that we position ourselves in that area, and hence the new chair that we are going to launch this year on computational astronomy. And then there are other initiatives which we are taking into account just to make sure that we're contributing to the key areas. So you may ask, why are you doing this? I mean, this, people tell you, like, why are you investing this in this when you can invest, let's say, in something else that will create jobs? But this program also creates jobs and new skills, and it's also a sustainability question in terms of finding alternative solutions. Okay, this graph is very small, but here what I wanted to show you is that the most innovation on business processes has an impact on product innovation. This may be confusing for people, but if I just put it to you this way, the easiest you can relate with is, if you look at our business processes at the university, for example, if you take, let's say, let's take Sun Student or Sunfin, something you know. If you have a good tool to do your business, it can improve your business processes. And so here it just looks at certain industries where you can see here, there's the first one actually here is the scientific research and development, where you get most of the innovations. And so when we talk about knowledge generation, the production of innovations from that knowledge is important. So this list here, I will not go into details, but you can find this report which talks about innovation indicators for 2023 that highlights the different areas. The M here stands for manufacturing, where you can get different innovations. So it shows you the average innovation intensity by industry. And one of the industries here is actually the research and development industry, which is key. So universities, again, and libraries have a big role to play in this area, not just using funding to, produce papers which end up on the shelf, but translating those into products which can provide solutions, can provide innovations that help the majority of the people. So I'll leave that just for information, but I think this graph is also useful. It shows the areas where we, as a country here, where we are having more impact, and you can see medicine being one of them, and the health sciences. followed by the other areas. But I just want to skip this because, yeah. So if you compare within the South African system, how are we doing as a university? So now I'm coming to Stellenbosch University, what we are doing. You see that people play a big role in terms of knowledge production. So investment in people is important. And I think the role that the library plays in promoting emerging researchers, supporting them in terms of the skills that they need, the programs that are run, helps them to become more productive, helps them to also publish and also do quality work. So you see there that if you look at the top 5 universities, these days we talk about the top 6 because UJ has also come on the table now. They're doing very well, but in terms of the number of people that we have, if you're just looking at numbers, and this data is over the last few years, so you see there that if you look at Stellenbosch University, we had, people had contributed to publications who were about 17,835, in comparison to UKZN, which had 22,000 people, authors at that, in the same period. 22,000 publications in the same period. But if you're comparing people, that's your first column. I mean, Stellenbosch had 7,764 people, and University of Cape Town, which is in the first position, had 9,884 people. And you see that UCT still remains top of the list for 2 reasons. Of course, they've got more people, but also their international collaboration is very high. If you look at the last column, 65% of their papers, almost 65% of their papers are with international authors. We are still at 53%. That percentage has now moved to 53%, the 52.4%. So those contributors are important for us to encourage collaboration, citation, because for us, citation is a measure of usage, but it's not necessarily a measure of innovations in terms of the products that come out of that. But these are knowledge products which we also need to grow. And then I wanted to show you this table as well, where you can see this is the report that we get from the Department of Higher Education and Training. This one just counts your publications and your master's and doctoral graduates combined. So if you still remember the master's doctorates, we still are getting, so for publication is 1 unit, you've got 2 units for your research masters and then 3 units for the doctoral candidates. So you can see there that we are still placed in position 5. And again, if you look at the first column, tells you the number of permanent staff. And it's not all permanent staff who publish. And for us, of course, the key from the research strategy is to try to make sure that everybody is contributing to the publication pool, together with the postgraduate students and honor students where there are projects involved, to involve them there. So you can see there, the last column, the 3.09, is the average weighted per research per capita. So for each academic staff member, they produce roughly about 3 units. But we know that if we want to be the top of the table, because our strategy says we want to be top in the country and in the continent, then we need to produce more than where we are. So 4 units roughly above where we are. So that means that we have more work to do, but that's also for information. Yeah. So now I'll just show you some pictures because I don't want to sort of talk for too long because some people might sleep. So you will see here that from cyber, so for me, I'm very proud of our library actually, because despite we are always fighting about resources, but the tools that we have are very important. So this is an indicator we use again from the cyber tool, which the library also hosts, to look at what's happening in the various areas. So between 2017 and 2022, you can see the productivity of the university and the areas where we are making impact. And for us, it's important when we're investing to see where this impact is and who's doing what. You can always go into the granular data, but that's okay for information for now. And then this one is just more the same information, but just showing the share, I guess, per publication, per field, which is important. So my department is maths, and we hope to grow that to the same level one day as maybe the other fields. But you can see we do well in the health area and the other areas that are shown. The agricultural and biological sciences has also a very big share in comparison to other areas. I did talk about international collaboration at the national level, but as a university, you can see we are still at 53% national level, international level. We want to grow that again. Again, it's for the period 2017 to 2022. You can see also on the national level, institutional level, and single authorship. In some fields, single authorship still looks like the style, but we are trying to encourage people to collaborate, and especially where there are research students, to actually involve students as well, so that they can also get the skills that they need to become independent authors one day. Yeah, so some selected examples. I did talk about storytelling, so I'm going to tell you short stories about some of the research for impact examples. Can I ask the program director how much time I have? I can talk as long as you want.
Yes, because it's you.
Yes, but you need, okay, cool, that's fine. So what we are doing, so you'll see that in terms of the Sustainable Development Goals, we want to contribute not just to quality education, but to skills building as well. So the first area, if you look at the technological advancements, is the artificial intelligence area, where we are collaborating with the African Institute of Mathematical Sciences, where we have 160 master's candidates on scholarships from all over Africa. This is done through a grant. So we allow applicants to come from the continent, and they're selected to be part of this program. And this is in collaboration with, and you see collaboration is a key, because these days, if you don't collaborate, you won't go far actually on your own. So we are collaborating on this. The AIMS Institute is an initiative between Stellenbosch University, UCT, and University of Western Cape, and we get students from the rest of the continent. And now we've reached out also to other universities to try and attract them to this partnership as well. So this master's program is running and contributing to skills training. The other area where we believe, and I know the library is also involved somehow with the Arua network, because we are all part of, we have these communities of practice, is the African Research University Alliance. And through this alliance again, what we are working on right now is there's a MasterCard core. You'll see that if you look at African Union Agenda 2063, which is aligned also to the SDGs, is that there's a goal of having 100,000 PhDs in 10 years. That's what that strategy says, yeah? So the Arua MasterCard Foundation proposal is to promote 1,000 students, 1,000 PhD students per year, every year for 10 years. So it's about 1,000 PhDs per year for 10 years. And so we, as a university, are participating in this initiative where we are putting proposals together to host at least some of those PhD candidates in partnership with other universities. And this will contribute to skills training for the continent as well. So all these things are there. The areas, again, through the Africa Research University Alliance, we have aligned 4 areas, and these areas, again, are aligned to the SDGs. When we were writing this, we had to align to this Sustainable Development Goals, the Decadal Plan for South Africa, the White Paper for Science and Technology, and what we call the Africa Union, European Union Innovation Agenda for Africa as well. So you'll see that there are 4 areas: the artificial intelligence one, which is the first one. The second one is renewable energy, genomics for health, and then nature-based solutions for climate change. And if you look at even the areas where we have impact, these areas also appear. They are interdisciplinary areas and involve people from different fields coming together. So that's just a map of what I described, an example. So you can see, for example, in one of the areas, when I just take the first one on artificial intelligence, we have partners in Africa and also in Europe. So you see about 10 African countries and some European countries involved, and we are growing these networks. These are hosted by Stellenbosch University, and of course we invite our partners both in the country and those who are abroad to join us. Unfortunately, through this proposal, one of the reasons I wanted to share this is that so we were approved to host the National Institute for Theoretical and Computational Sciences, which involves all the 25 universities. There's only one university which hasn't joined us yet, but we believe this will be a big initiative where we'll be able to show impact in training PhDs over the next 10 years. So we have proposed here to host about 200 PhDs per annum once that is approved. Right, and then the School for Data Science and Computational Thinking, and linked to the SDGs. So we've been very fortunate, I think, we just appointed Professor Willem Fourie, and he has just from University of Pretoria. And so we were approached by the presidency, and we've been able to launch what we call the first policy innovation lab. And you can see that when you look at this lab, what it will do is that it's a data science and artificial intelligence tools deployed in the policy-making environment, and it's by the presidency. So we are contributing, working with the government as well, through policy research services and supported by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and Stellenbosch University. And you can see some of the work we do here is that if you look at the school and everything that's happening, the school, since it was established, has brought in about over 550 million rands. And then we have also raised close to 44 million rands for industry chairs, which we currently have, and a number of rated researchers. Again, here we're collaborating with a number of universities, not only the government entities. Let's see other pictures. Oh, okay. Found something, sorry. Okay, so again, you see that if you looked at the news yesterday, Tulio de Rivera, also from the same school, has just been listed, of course, in the Time magazine again, and recognized, of course, for his contribution to the health, to global health. And you can see again, to do this, it's also the resources that we have, the access that we have to the latest information in the library in terms of the fields that we stage as a university. So I'll leave that just for reading, because you see this on our media pages. Again, I did say we work with our government. Again, the agri-sciences here involved, the science faculty, the Center for Invasion Biology, which has been seen as one of the top centers in terms of its contribution. And I think, so I wanted to talk about this a little bit, then I will probably end with 1 or 2 slides. So if you ask me, for me, what keeps me awake at night is actually the pipeline. And the issue is usually around, the people behind the statistics. So it's fine, to talk about we're doing this, doing that. But the question is who would do it. So you'll see that there are 5 areas for us which are a priority. And I believe these are applicable in any situation. So the people, the pipeline, we have many programs that run, the NGAP program, doctoral programs, Sunrise, which we have launched at the university. There's a Future Professors program and so forth. We have strategic intentions to attract and retain people, but we are also not sure once the people come whether they stay or leave, especially from the designated groups, what happens to them. The systems and processes we have, so whether at digital level, whether it's the process that people are used to induct people, and also the systems we have to bring in postgraduate students in terms of enrollments, completion, the supervision capacity, and the loading of this capacity, the funding and new grant opportunities, and the uptake of these opportunities as well. And especially, we have seen, if I show you a lot of the pictures, it's the same people who get the grants, it's the same people who are like the superstars. So we want to create a pool of other people as well as part of that. And then, of course, the last one is the institutional culture, the issue around inclusivity and the enablers for new emerging scholars, and of course, the experiences of those scholars. So there's a lot of, these are just points, but actually behind these points, there's a lot that goes on. And you see there's an article which appeared in News 24 around the transformation of the professoriate, and you can see Stellenbosch University, of course, featuring very high there. We still have a lot to do in this area. So this slide is a slide that I sort of, if you ask me, what are you doing? I'm trying to think about, okay, this slide, what is our contribution? And then having said that, I just want to show you. So for example, look at this one. Research excellence, of course, we know in our system, the South African system, being an A-rated scientist defines you as one of the top of the echelons. But this is a picture for Stellenbosch University, and you cannot see, in fact, well, there were some women, but again, the diversity in terms of the pool of people, trying to bring in new players in these echelons, at this level as well is important. We currently host 509 NRF rated researchers. Of course, we want to increase that. I know UCT is higher than us at the moment in terms of A-rated researchers, but we want to also make sure that we are more diverse in our representation. I think the other thing, maybe if you look at this picture, and for me this is also exciting. This is the Future Professors Program. We've just launched Sunrise, which is the top one, the new program cohort. But the second one is what has been running over the last 3-4 years. And these are the people graduated at University of Mpumalanga. And you can see the diversity. The people are actually there, but the thing is finding the right people, helping them to succeed and achieve in their areas of excellence. So these are some of the programs which contribute to the pipeline. I think the other thing is, so I'll just skip this one because these are my people. I call them the maths people. So I'll just skip them. It's still part of that. I just wanted this exercise. Who can tell me which one of these is the original? Sorry? Use a mic. Which one? How many of you think it's the first one? Raise your hand by show of hand. The first one, you think the first one is original? Who thinks it's the second one? Okay. Who thinks it's the third one? Okay. The people who said it was the first one is the original, can you, who has a mic? Can somebody say something about the first one? What makes you think the first one is original?
The sides are not symmetrical. So left is not symmetrical to the right side of the face.
Okay, that sounds like a theoretical answer, thank you. Okay, who can explain so that a public person, like if I was walking the street, understand what you're trying to say? Yes. Do you want to explain?
Of the three, I'd say it looks the most natural.
Which one looks the most matchable?
The first one.
The first one, why?
It looks less photoshopped, if I can put it like that, but it's personal opinion. I don't know, really. It's hard to distinguish these days.
Okay, but you can see that the two are the digital copies of this one. How is number 2 a copy of the first one? What are you looking at? Okay, can I leave it as homework? So sorry, I should have. Yeah, I'll leave it there. But the reason I put this here is that I just moved the slide now on. This workshop was on symmetries of differential equations, and we're trying to see applications, right? But you can, you've heard about copies, digital copies, and so forth. Okay, so here are the people from physiological sciences. So I borrowed these slides from Professor Resia Pretorius. And the reason I'm flagging this is just that some of the things we worry about, the infrastructure is important. So you see here that they use the scanning electron microscope through the central analytical facilities, and you may wonder, why are these images important? So I was trying to explain a particular concept to a different group in maths, but this one here shows you the top left, for example, that's a diabetes red cell, which is entrapped in between dying cells. So you see those images, right? The second one there is actually your stroke patient. Those are red blood cells entrapped in a clot. But you get that from the microscope. And the third one here shows you a red blood cell in the presence of too much iron. Too much of anything is not good for you. I think we can ask Professor Pretorius for that. And the last one here is now some of the latest work that's happening around platelets progressing from healthy to a massive platelet clump consisting of thousands of platelets in long COVID patients. You've heard of long COVID, right? So there's some work also happening there. But what I wanted to show there, I think what's important is that to have the state-of-the-art equipment, it's not just the table, the desk, the computers, but also the facilities that help us to produce state-of-the-art knowledge. So thank you to Professor Pretorius for that. I did promise that I won't go into all the slides because there were 55 of them, but I want to end quickly. So just 4 things to remember so that for the SDGs. So the Sustainable Development Goals just ensure that we all have, create a sustainable future for everybody. We make sure that people live normal lives, that the kids have the chance to succeed at everything they do. access to schools, good health education, but also making sure that when it comes to the role of universities, that we play a role in making sure we create environments where people can become the best version of themselves, that they can also contribute to research outcomes which help to improve lives and livelihoods, which help to produce new innovations, and innovations, services, innovations, products that help to deal with particular problems. So the 4 areas, what's important to create a sustainable research system where we have research excellence, the people, of course the intent, the strategy that drives what you're doing, the resources and the infrastructure, and then of course the impact and the tools that we use for measuring, monitoring and evaluating so that we're able to intervene correctly. And having said that, I will just jump those, sorry. You will see that at the university, again, the tools, and I keep on going back to this, you see that 1 is the global norm of where we perform. You see that the agri-sciences is one of the areas where we have the highest impact, by the way. Even if you look at the volume, they may produce less, but the impact is very high, followed by the humanities, the social sciences, then there's health, and the others that are given there. So for us, that's important. But I think what I just want to show you is also because people, women publishing. So here you see we look at bibliometrics, and one of the things is around, we want to also check what's happening amongst the authors, the women contributing to authorship, people under 40. Okay, we still have authors over 70, which is okay if you're still productive, right? You can live, these days you might outlive your grandparents as well. So make sure some of you might live up to 100, but if you're still publishing over 70, that's also good. But the percentage of PhDs we talked about, and also I did talk about the ratings. These are just indicators. This can be shared with you, but I want to go to some pictures. So these students, again, you can see when we talk about innovations, it's not just theory. We are one of the universities that produce a lot of innovations, and through the help and support we get through InOffers. So you see here one of the things that we did, I think last year, this is Professor Tinus Boyson. You see the taxi, the retro fitted taxi, which was donated, I think, by the transport services at SU. And then there is also students who also win different awards. These are students producing something innovative and recognized for it. And also the competing in the FEM lab, science communication, which is also important, just asking people to explain what you do in simple language without using a lot of scientific jargon. So this one was last week. I think it was last week. I don't know how many people participated. Is there anyone in this room who participated? No? Okay, so this is a science communication. Again, you can see the students are coached by FEMLab. And then what else can I show? Postgraduate students, contracts. You know, contracts, you need money for research, so we are doing very well there. Our portfolio is currently 1.2 billion, which was raised last year. The central analytical facilities have shown you that as well. Achievements, we celebrate when people win something. I just want to go to the slide where there's the library director, and then I'll end. Okay, so here again is students, you know, high impact papers, the Nobel in Africa series, which we host as a university as well. And we try to, we keep these open as well. We invite people from elsewhere. And you can see here, and I should acknowledge, I think in 2023, again, the library director, so it's not just for the academics, but people also who are support services. Nothing prevents you from the support services to also publish, by the way, especially those of you who are working in this space, because we believe that you also add to the knowledge production and also sharing best practice with others. So you see there the library director, Ms. Ellen Tice, accepting the Sally Trust Lifetime Achievement Award, which was given in 2023, yes? So congratulations once again to yourself. I think we should clap for her because she's here. We might never get a chance, in case we don't get a chance to do that. So, but again, if you look at this picture, for me, I see happiness, we are all happy, but I want to see again diversity, right? To get more people involved. So, but we also acknowledge the contribution of all the researchers. The public squares, which is a new initiative, Sunrise. I can't remember this one. This is a new group. So this again is someone who has joined us from Pretoria, University of Pretoria, and again you can see in the African microbiome innovation. Does anyone know what microbiomes are in this room? No? Okay, so you can find out. They do very interesting work. And then, yeah, I had a chat with them last week, so it was very interesting to see some of the research that they're doing. And then here, again, is the center which we host, the Center for the Afterlife of Violence and Reparative Quest, which is led, I think, by Professor Pumla Gobodo Madikizela. Again, you can see the diversity. So the issues is when I meet with them, usually asking them about, what are you doing about talent? So they're quite a big group, and I'm hoping that these, postdocs and students, that one day some of them can take over some of the work. And then, of course, these are the deans who help us. So this is the management team for the research portfolio currently. And there's a picture missing for the new Dean of Science, Professor Betty Fielding, who also joined us from University of Western Cape and has replaced Ms. Louise Vanik from Science. And then again, yeah, so that's the group that helps us. But again, you can see, if you look at this picture, you may say, okay, but we should have maybe, what can we have more of? You can pick what we should have more of. And then, so as part of the storytelling, there's a digital footprint that we have. Of course, we try to improve these as we go along. You can find the rest of information here, stories about the research that's happening. But I think I'll stop here because I've spoken for long enough, and I think you must be exhausted by now, but I believe you won't invite me again to speak this long, so I should stop here. But also thank you really to the library, and I hope that you all have an enjoyable research week this week. And that, I just want to really acknowledge the work that goes in, but I really think that we have to continue innovating, creating spaces where we can create enabling environments for all our researchers and postgraduate students to thrive at the university. Thank you.
Another round of applause for Prof. Yes, I knew that the speaker would be different as soon as she started to ask questions from the previous speaker. So I knew that this is something different I've never dealt with before. It's a new experience. In any case, Prof, thank you so much for this presentation and sharing your perspectives. I heard you saying that wars and social ills impact our ability to realize the SDGs, and you went on to say we should support impactful research for the achievement of the SDGs. You also highlighted that we should tell stories on how do we contribute to the actualization of the SDGs. But you also highlighted the fact that there is a bit of unevenness in how we contribute to the SDGs, both as a university and as a country, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because we need to be experts in some areas. But of course, you did say that people play a big role in terms of harnessing. We should harness the skills required to achieve the SDGs, and that every one of us has an obligation to play a role in terms of ensuring that we contribute to the actualization of the SDGs. Now, colleagues, I'll give you just 5 minutes, maybe 10, okay, 5 to 10, to just ask questions. Are there any questions online? Maybe let's start with the online people.
Nothing online yet.
Okay, looks like nothing online. In person, colleagues, any questions? Yes, we have a brave person there at the back. Nobody wants to ask their boss questions. We don't want to lose our bonuses. Joseph.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm not so sure if I am brave or I am I want to use the word S, but for now, I'll leave it at that since we're whispering things. Thank you very much, Prof. Mo, for your presentation. I think it links very nicely with our theme of research excellence, and it's nice to know the kind of work that Stellenbosch has been doing in achieving the research excellence. The question here, maybe you might accuse me of being theoretical, like someone else, but I'll pose it anyway. I know it's a long stretch to ask it now. Can we, or have we so far tried to establish is there any correlation between the research that we have done at Stellenbosch and any improvements in SDGs in South Africa per se? Maybe even just here in Stellenbosch. I know it's a stretch, but
yeah, it's a stretch. So we have an SDG hub here, I think, which does tries to see how we are contributing to the SDGs. But I should confess that I could argue that in skills training, you can measure in terms of the students that come through and then graduate. Then one can argue that under SDG 1 that we are contributing, no poverty for all. So for example, so you can look at, okay, if you train students from poor backgrounds, for example, what is the contribution? How many of them finish? How many of them are employed, become active citizens? So they do mapping of the activities against the goals. So there is a hub that's doing that under the global engagement. But if you talk about Stellenbosch, I'm aware that a while ago there was a study, they also did some research which shows the economic impact of the university. So this is also tired, the economic impact of the university. And to do that, you actually have to measure again the different activities that you're doing in terms of the economic indicators. What do you actually look at? There's a paper we've done with some colleagues which looks at economic indicators for not just, it's not for Stellenbosch, but it's for universities in general. And I know that paper, it has appeared online, but it's been rejected by a few journals because it was an interdisciplinary type of thing, and we worked with people from Ukraine and other countries, so they became very technical. Actually, at first I could understand what we wanted to do. Eventually it became like an economist, analytical paper. So but there are some studies which have been trying to do that, but I've not seen a definite one where I can say yes. But I think that's a good question again. It also poses like a potential area for further development, yeah.
Thank you, Prof, for that response. Any other questions, colleagues? Gekna online? Okay, maybe in terms of you did indicate that, I think it was research, which, for me aligns to SDG 5 on gender equality, where you said women lag a little bit behind, in terms of, production of research. I think it was at Stellenbosch. So I just wanted to find out in terms of how do you intend to affirm women and ensure that, they get up to speed and, at the same level as men in terms of research production?
Okay, yeah, so in terms of women contributing to the outputs, that percentage has increased at the university, I think, to 47%, if I could remember the slide. So there is a national target, by the way. The national target is around 50%, so 50% of the women need to contribute. That's the target we're given in the decadal, the 10-year decadal plan. It has targets, actually, which tell you where to go. So what we do generally is to encourage, we have a number of chairs which are held by women. It's just to encourage women to mentor other women as well and encourage the funding of students. So in this, sort of core where we are participating, we are targeting 70% women and 30% men to be PhD candidates. But also for scholarships, we normally look at that indicator to support a few female, quite a few, in comparison to men. So we have certain incentives, but it's an effort which everybody has to contribute to. It's not just for the women chairs or women researchers, but even at a policy level. And I know Nugent in the postgraduate office, normally reports on that as well. One of the things when we meet, it just also shows how many women have we actually supporting as grant holders, as scholarship holders as well. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof. I think we have come to the end of our program, colleagues. All what is left now is for me to quickly do a vote of thanks, and we'll be done. So, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to express our deepest gratitude to all the speakers who have generously shared their time, expertise, perspective, advice, knowledge, and words of wisdom with us today. For many of us, the link between the SDGs and research remains to be fully understood and embraced, but through the insights shared by Professor Moyo, I'm hopeful that we can discover ways to demonstrate the impact of research to sustainable human development. On behalf of everyone present tonight, this evening, I extend our sincerest appreciation to you, Prof. Moyo, for sharing your wisdom with us today. I thank you also for consistently standing by us. Your presence here has elevated the significance of this event and the discussions that are held within it. We are truly grateful for your support and leadership. I also want to acknowledge Ms. Ellen Tice for her outstanding leadership and support. Whenever I've been asked to organize Library Research Week, she has always stood by us, backing us, encouraging us, motivating us, and yes, strongly reprimanding us when things do not go according to plan. I want to thank you for launching both the Library Research Week 2024 and Sun DMP. I extend my sincere thanks to my fellow Library Research Week 2024 committee members for their unwavering dedication and contributions to the success of this event and the overall organization of Library Research Week. Of course, I will mention your names when we close the week on Friday to make sure that first everything goes well and then we can mention your name. But special recognition is due to you, Kirchner van der Venter, Wouter Klapwijk, and his entire IT team for the technical support that they've provided to us. And to all our audience members, your support is immensely valued, and we recognize that without you, this launch would not have been possible. We invite you to continue supporting us by attending sessions from tomorrow until Friday and encourage you to share any feedback on how we can enhance our services for you. So at this juncture now, I would like to extend a warm invitation to our in-person guests to join us for a reception at the library staff room. And to our virtual audience, we regret your physical absence, but as I always say, you will remain in our thoughts. I wish you a very pleasant evening, colleagues. Thank you so much.